So here we are at Rest Bay near Porthcawl in Wales. So this is a favourite haunt of the family. We come here quite a bit and it's nice to have a day out, and you can see lots of other people have got the same idea. So I'm just going to have a little paddle and see how we get on. It is an offshore wind as well, which yeah, not too good, but there are a few waves. We'll see if we can surf a few in and just have a little paddle. So spray deck on, now we'll see if we can get out. So because the tide is going out, this makes this bit a little bit more tricky. When the tide's coming in, the waves are coming in a tiny bit further each time, and this bit is a little bit easier. So I'm just pushing with my hands. Each time I can feel the kayak lift up out of the sand. Right, that's it. Paddle a little bit. Oh, nearly. Right, maybe this one. So there we go. Paddle a little bit more. That's it. Get over that before it breaks, or nearly. Excellent. So as I mentioned, there's an offshore wind, so it's not that strong, about 5.9 miles an hour, so not anything to worry about really, but just beautiful to be out on the sea. And the green tent, don't know whether you can see that in the distance, that's where Moo and her friend are playing in the rock pools. I'm going to see if I can surf one back in, if there's even one coming. Because the tide's going out, you tend to find the waves are a lot smaller. When it's coming in, it has to be slightly bigger waves to push in each time the wave comes in. So, whoa, there's one. Oh, I missed that. Right, we'll stay in this spot and then hopefully we'll hit one of the others. Right, here's one coming, look. So you can just see it forming. By the time that gets to me, that is going to be surfable. So here we go. Paddle, paddle, paddle. And we are on. Whee! Oh, nice. Whoops, comes in a little bit shallow. So I'll try and paddle out before the wave drops. Oh. So I'm paddling just to the left of the black and white flags. That's a conscious decision, just to try and give myself some space. You can see there are a lot of people, paddleboards and surfboards. So I'm comfortable here and I'm close enough should the lifeguard be needed. So always sort of face out. So we're looking out to sea, looking for the waves. So there's one you can just see starting to come in. Here it comes. So can we catch that? That is just going to break roughly where I am, which is perfect. Yay! So keeping the kayak pointing forwards, and then I'm getting off the wave before it gets too shallow. In fact, I've just hit the bottom there and there. Look at that. Whoa, that is cold. So I decided not to wear a dry cag because it is 24 degrees. So this splash top that I'm wearing should dry in the sun, but the sea is still freezing cold. So that is in front, that is the lifeguard station. You can see the building that's closest to the beach. That is the lifeguard station. Behind that is a little restaurant cafe with a couple of shops and a little burger van next to it. So it's quite a nice little place to come, this. So if you look it up on the map, Rest Bay, and it's probably a mile, 2 miles maybe from Porthcawl. So with the offshore winds, paddleboarders in particular need to be super careful. because that can start blowing you out to sea, and once you get a little distance out, that's going to be really difficult to paddle back in, especially if you're inexperienced. Right, let's wait for another one. Oh, missed that one. Rats. That's because I was looking back into shore. So prime spot is always right angles, and then you can see. If the waves were bigger, I probably wouldn't do quite a right angle, maybe 45 degrees, and then I've got a chance of protecting myself if the waves are big. So that one hit me sideways, but no real problem. Right, this one after this. So you can see it's starting to form, and it's going to, yeah, this will be good, but I'm going to have to paddle. Yep, got it. Nice. Oh. So I'm thinking in the distance that is north coast of Devon, because we are almost directly opposite. So Bridgend is to our left, and to our right over there is Swansea and the Mumbles, and Gower Peninsula. I don't think you'll be able to see that from here, but Gower Peninsula, possibly you might be able to see it on the very end. I don't think that's going to show up great on the camera, but you can just see a hazy outline. So yeah, we're not in mid Wales by any means, but this is 2 hours from home, which is a fantastic place, sort of fantastic distance. You can easily make it in a day, and we normally do make a day of it. So we stay on the beach, put our tent up, and then once we're finished here, we get changed, get back to the car, and fish and chips before we go home, which is what we'll do today. So when you're surfing waves on the sea, it's different to how you're surfing them on a river. Obviously on a river they're staying still, but when you're on the sea you have to paddle to get the wave, and that is the same as surfing. You can see the bodyboarders, they're jumping and kicking their feet to try and accelerate onto the wave, and that's what I'm doing with the paddle. So I'm waiting for the wave, and then when I feel the wave just behind me and starting to lift the kayak a little bit, I'm paddling like Billy-O, and that puts me on the wave then, and then the wave will carry me in. Well, that's the theory. Right, here's one, yes. This is good. So we're on it. We're now just going to surf it. I'm paddling a little bit because it's not a very big wave. Oh, ow. Yep, that's shallow. So there is a little tip. I'll tell you when this wave's just gone. It's if you're coming in and you go sideways on the wave, which is very easy to do, especially if the wave's a bit bigger, and you go into the shallower water, very often the bottom of the kayak will catch, and then you tip towards the shore. And that's not a great position because the wave goes over the top of you and you end up rolling in the sand, or trying to roll in the sand. So at all times you need to be facing forwards, really. So there's an aeroplane somewhere, you can hear that. So that green building with the red roof, I think that's the golf club. Not entirely sure, but I think so. But you can see some of the houses set back from the seafront. Beautiful outlook. Oh, you can see that aeroplane now, look. It's just flying above the houses. So beautiful outlook onto the sea. And in the summer, really nice. I'm not sure in the winter. Watching the storms coming in. Right, here's one, let's go. Yay, we're on it. Woo. So I was going sideways there, and I made the decision to drop in the rudder on the opposite side, even though I was starting to turn quite dramatically. And that takes a little bit of confidence because you're leaning the wrong way. So it does feel counterintuitive. So you're kind of doing your stern rudder on the opposite side to the side you're leaning, and that can be quite tricky. But my experience over the years is I would much rather be surfing forward on a wave. When you're surfing sideways, it's just like being in a stopper and you just get absolutely pummeled and you have no control. So if there are other people on the water, it's very likely you're going to be ploughed straight into them. Whereas at least if you're facing forward, you've got an option on moving right or left along the wave and hopefully avoiding them. So that's when I'm talking 5 foot and above, really. Right, here's another one. Let's do this. It's a good one, this one. Woo, yay! Nice. So there we go. I've gone sideways, but I've still squared it up. Yay! Really like that one. Again, not big waves, but bear in mind I haven't paddled on surf for 12 months maybe. But I did paddle a lot, especially off Gower Peninsula at Llangennith Beach, which was our favourite haunt. We'd go there, especially in the spring and in the winter tides, and the waves were in some cases humongous. I can remember looping the dancer that I had and taking it end over end down a wave. So that must have been, well, the dancer was 3.5 meters and it was about another half a length again above that. But that's what we did. We loved doing that and trying to survive, not having to swim. Thankfully I didn't swim, can't even remember once swimming at Llangennith. Always managed to roll, even if it was on the 3rd or 4th go. Right, here we go again. Yay! Nice! So I'm looking down the wave at the surfers. Woo! Look that way. Yay! Right, very shallow now. Whoa. And surfing on the sea can be exhausting. I'm not having to paddle over any waves to paddle back out, which is an absolute blissful situation. But if you're having to paddle over breaking waves, by the time you paddle past the break, you are absolutely exhausted. And then you've got to recover, turn and surf back in and then do it all over again. So it wasn't unusual when I was growing up and sort of late teens, early 20s, we'd be out for an hour and we'd get off and we would be absolutely shattered. In fact, sometimes we'd have to rest on the beach before we could even carry the kayaks back up to the car. So yeah, you don't underestimate how tiring it can be and how dangerous, of course, as well. We are on the sea. It is a natural phenomenon. Just simple stuff, not putting myself in any difficulties really. Obviously if I do tip over close to the shore, that is going to be problematical because in the shallow water it's unlikely I'm going to be able to roll. So I'm going to have to rely on support stroke or some kind of hand on the sand pushing myself back up, something like that. But again, my experience is that I'm in this kayak, which I absolutely love for surfing, I'm fairly stable, so I don't get in those situations very often where I'm tipping over. Surprised to be tipping over. Normally I can catch it or I can do something that avoids it tipping. Anyway, those of you who subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate that. I am sorry over the last couple of months I haven't posted, but I've been super busy with work. I've been really lucky to work with a handful of brilliant providers and meet some amazing young people over the last few months and help them to achieve some brilliant things on the water and also on land through the D of E and other activities that I'm doing. I'm very happy to say that 2 providers so far have booked me for as many days as I can do next year, so I'm very happy with that. So that is why I've been a little bit quiet on the YouTube front, but got some trips planned. We're doing our usual paddle up to Wales a bit later on, September and into October. So yeah, looking forward to getting those, videoing them. And I've also bought a few new products as well that I'll show you. So can we reverse surf off this one? Whoop, no, is the answer to that. I probably left it a bit late to start paddling, so start paddling now. Whoa, yes! So the back of the boat hit the sand there. But I've done that, as I say, at Llangennith in the Dancer, and the Dancer just went end over end. Reverse looped. No surprise, that's exactly what it's going to do. And that's exactly what it did. So yeah, so bought a few new products, which I'll show you. I'll do little review videos. It's quite nice. Some of those are getting some views now because people are obviously interested in some of the products. And actually the review video, you don't necessarily need to be buying that particular brand or product, but if you are in the market for a buoyancy aid or a CAG or something else, dry suit, then watch the video, because there are lots of tips on what you should look for in your dry suit or your buoyancy aid or your CAG or whatever it is. So it's worth doing. So that's why I do them, not necessarily because I think you're going to buy the exact same one. Right, I'm going to go on this one. Yes, there we are. So keep it forwards. I think I'm grounding on the sand. Paddle, paddle, paddle. Oh, I should have waited for this one. So another heads up, when you're surfing, you often find that waves, when they're coming in, they actually come in threes. And normally the third one is the bigger one of the 3. So if you're seeing a wave and you think, oh yeah, I'll go for that one, just have a look behind it and just see if you can see those undulations in the sea for 2 more waves coming. Because if you do, you might want to leave the first one, possibly even the second one, and go for the third one, depending on what you're planning on doing. I'm also trying a new camera. Crikey, there's so much happened since I've been off the air, as so to speak. So I'm trying a new camera, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in another video. So I'm just sitting here out the corner of my eye, I'm just checking there's no wave coming, because obviously I'm holding the camera and I'm not really set up to do anything, to paddle or whatever, so I don't want to be caught off guard by a wave coming in. But I shall put the cam back on my head and we'll see how we get on. I can still see Moo right up there. I think they're sitting on the seats watching the world go by. And the sun has actually gone behind the clouds now. So in Worcester the forecast for today was 30 degrees, but down here it's saying 24 to 25. And that is obviously because of the cloud cover we're getting. And that makes a huge difference at Rest Bay, because over the years Rest Bay has always been windy, and if it's hot sun, you just get lulled into a false sense of security. You think, oh, it's not sunny really, so you don't bother really putting sun cream on, and then 4 o'clock this afternoon you look like a red lobster. So yeah, today will be a little bit different because we've got the cloud cover, and we always pitch the little tent. It's like a little pop-up tent thing, and that just gives us an opportunity to keep the bags in it and just keep everything safe. Right, here we go. Here's one. No, missed it. Oh, I could have got that one. Oh, rats. I hesitated on that and I should have gone for it. Look, that man's standing up. Brilliant. So if you do want to read a little bit more about Llangennith, I'll put a link to a little page in the description below, and you can have a read of some of the experiences I've had at Llangennith. I just wrote them up really more for my own memories than anything else. Right, something's come in, so you can see there's a little undulation there that's just gone past. So maybe we get another one. That's the second one. Where's the third one? It's, yeah, completely gone. So high tide was 8:30 this morning, and obviously low tide will be 6 hours after that, and then high tide again will be roughly 8:30 tonight, and then that cycle will carry on with the time slightly moving. So here's something coming. Are we going to get this? Maybe. No. So those few bigger ones that we had when I started this session, they've definitely gone, and we're on to the last few smaller ones now. So we might be close to low tide, in which case the waves will be a lot lower, and then it will turn and they'll get a little bit bigger this afternoon. So maybe I can come back on this afternoon. Right, here we go. Here's one. So are we going to go with the first one or the second one? Second one. Yeah, second one. Hey, there we go. Boys, not so we caught up the first wave, and now I'm on that. Nice. There we go. So really good sort of, not even an hour on the water, but a few little waves, just get back used to surfing, and whoa. And yeah, have a walk up, and we're going to have something to eat now. So thanks for watching.